Good evening, everybody.
She's very pretty.
It is Monday, January 24th, 2022. I'm going to call the Prescott regular city council meeting to order. We'll take roll call. Thomas.
Here.
Bailey.
Here.
Rob. Here. Marine.
Here.
Dar.
Here.
Pat. Here. Let's all stand and say a pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Anybody in the audience, or even I suppose council, if you have anything to comment, anything on the agenda, now is time to step forward, state your name and any comments. I don't see anyone in the audience, so I'm assuming that's not going to happen. Move on, next agenda item, the consent agenda, regular city council meeting minutes of January 10th and Parks and Public Property of January 17th.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve the consent agenda and the two items listed. Is there any other discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Standing committees, we got Finance Committee, nothing I think for that at this time. Public Works, the next meeting will be February 28th, 2022. I think, Rob, you run that, right?
I do.
Is there any items that need to be added or anyone think of they want on there? All right, move on to the next item, which would be planning. Go ahead.
Sorry, the combination of McGee Park with Public Property, does that need to go in front of planning?
Planning Commission would, I would say. Just to talk
On the
about.
Miggy part, the combination, yeah, we'll work through we'll figure out the process for combining them and getting it added, and then, once we figure that out, we'll bring it forward to Parks, and then also if we need to go through planning as well.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Planning Commission, we have the public hearing. Does that sound right?
Yes,
For tonight?
yes.
It says Planning Commission. Oh, so it came from the Planning Commission.
Yeah.
That's right, that's part of that public. Okay. So we got a public hearing for Resolution 0122, initial resolution vacating a part of 2nd Street, Lake Street, Assessor's Plat, Pierce County, Wisconsin. I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Make a motion to open the public hearing for resolution 01-22.
I'll second it.
Motion made second to open the public hearing for Resolution 0122. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. All right, who wants to present? Anybody want to present anything? You want to just reiterate what was went on?
Yeah, so, back at the first meeting, or the only meeting in December, we approved the site plan for the Two Rivers expansion of their deck. As part of that process, we needed to hold a public hearing to vacate the right-of-way, vacate the right-of-way for the expansion of that deck, which is currently under city right-of-way. So Cedar Corporation did put together exhibit for us, and that is what's in your packet tonight for what's being vacated and would be going to Two Rivers as part of that expansion.
Okay. That long sliver, that's just because their building's over the line like we did with Lake Street, so that's why we're deeding that or vacating that. Am I correct in that?
Correct.
And then the big rectangle, that's all part of Lake, or 2nd Street?
Correct. The right-of-way there.
On the left of the building. All right, any other questions, any discussion? Any public comments in the audience? Anybody?
Look how off that is.
If not,
No.
I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Motion made second to close the public hearing for Resolution 0122. Now, the next item, I would assume approve Resolution 0122? Because there's no first, second, third reading, it's just a resolution to vacate. All right, then I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution 0122.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made second to approve Resolution 0122, resolution vacating a part of 2nd Street, Lake Street Assessor's Plat.
This is the initial.
This is,
So we have to publish 3 times in the paper, then it comes back to you guys.
okay. So this is the initial or the first one. I figured there was a step in there. So then we'll publish it 3 times in the paper, and after that it comes back to the council for a final approval, or reading and approval of it. Okay. So all in favor of Resolution 0122 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item on agenda is Parks and Public Property, Riverfront Phase 2, boat launch and fishing pier engineering proposal. Who wants to present that one?
I'll turn it over to Seth here in a second, but part of our budget for 2022 is $125,000 for the construction of a fishing pier and a new boat dock, which is more a part of the Phase 2. So one of the things we talked about was trying to apply for a grant for that Phase 2 project, and as part of that is they're looking for how much buy-in the grant or the person applying, I guess. So that is why we were looking at this, and we had Cedar Corporation put together a proposal for some of the work.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, Seth Hudson with Cedar Corporation. It's a pretty straightforward contract. It's for $5,450 to do preliminary layouts, permit applications, final plans, bidding documents, etc., staking. One of the things we did want to point out is if you look on page 2 of the actual contract itself, there's a timeline. The idea is to get going here in February, but we want to note that more than likely the approval of permitting from DNR will not be received before the bid opening date. We'll make a note of that in the bid packet, but it's taken them a while. The other thing that's not included in here is if there's any additional environmental type studies we might have to do, like counting mussels or things like that, like we had to do with the courtesy dock. We won't know that, though, until we apply for the permits for them to come back and tell us if there's anything additional we might need to do. But we do recommend going ahead and starting on that so we can leverage it with other potential funding.
All right, anybody have any questions for Seth on this?
I don't know if this is for Seth or maybe more for Matt. So we're applying for a grant, if I understood right also, that may offset this expenditure. We're willing to spend $125, but we're also applying for a grant that may cover a large portion of that. Is that correct?
Well, so we're looking at the project, working with Seth and Cedar Corporation, and
This would act as towards your match towards that other grant. So it's not going to be a reimbursement for this.
Okay. It wouldn't be savings to us. They go together.
They go together.
Okay.
The grants we're looking at, usually it's like an 80-20. You got to come up with 20%, so this project could go towards that.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question.
just to clarify, there's our Phase 1, we got a Wisconsin Department of Transportation grant, which we're using for that. In Phase 2, we're looking at a different Economic Development Administration grant, which we could use the money we're spending here as a matching portion of that.
Or potentially, since it just came out today, the federal transportation money has finally made it to the state. Woodstock just did an email today out about that program, and we're meeting hopefully tomorrow to kind of go through that. That might help with some of this as well. It's meant for trails, connectivity, things of that nature, so there might be some play in that grant as well. So we'll just have to take a look at it. That's just something new.
All right, any other questions, thoughts?
I make a motion to approve the contract in the amount of $5,450 and not to exceed.
Second?
Motion made, second, to approve the services of Cedar Corp. For the proposal here in the amount of $5,450. Is there any other discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is, next meeting for Parks and Public Property is February 21st at 5 p.m. Anything that needs to be added to that at this time? Probably not.
Nope.
Just a reminder. Licensing, I don't think we have anything for licensing. Ordinance Committee, we got first reading, possible waiver, second, third. Do you want to present that, Dar? Is that yours?
I think I'll let Matt do this, though.
All right.
It's more of his
Yeah.
expertise.
Before we move on, this was what I had next.
Are we applying for a grant in tourism?
No, I think that's part
That's
of
the
the
one
tax.
Oh,
We get
the
down-
tax.
Yeah, we get down
Okay.
to room tax.
Okay. Oh, I see.
Yep, it goes
The
with
next
that.
page.
Yep.
No worries.
All right, so Matt, you want to present this one? I think you had something in the packet on this.
Yes.
Too, I know.
So the room tax, and just to clarify, so that item that you just filled up, that was the EDA grant that we're potentially applying for through, for Phase 2. So not the room tax part, but the riverfront Phase 2 part.
Okay.
The room tax, so last meeting we discussed room tax, and one of the things that we brought up was the changing of ordinance 83-23, which had the imposition of tax at 8%, so we discussed moving it down to 6. So that is what's being proposed and changed in that section. And then 83-25, the distribution of tax. Previously, we had it at 70, 27, and then that 3% was being redispersed back to the actual lodging facility, which right now we're getting payments through VRBOs that we don't actually know where the lodging facilities are coming from, so it's just not logistically feasible to even return that. So what we're proposing then is to remove that 3% and then make that 27% 30%, so 30% would be retained by us as a municipality. That other 70% would be going to the tourism entity, which will be working with the chamber to come up with an MOU to take that money. So those are the two changes that are being proposed as part of Ordinance 01-22.
All right, any questions, discussion? So this is kind of first reading. I think we could just do it in a couple. We can waive them. If you think you feel comfortable with this and no one's heard any comments on it, we could just first reading and waive the second and third and impose that tax, and it starts May 1st. Is that what I read, or April 1st? April 1st.
April 1st is when we'd actually start the collection, so we'd send out a letter to all the lodging facilities letting them know that we want them to start collecting, and that's when we'll begin collection, so that will give them 2 months to implement whatever collection procedures they need to.
So the first quarter we don't, second quarter we'll be collecting basically
Yep.
every year. So,
I make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 01-22.
I'll second that.
motion made and second to approve the first reading of ordinance 01-22, which is the room tax one. Is there any other discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next meeting then for ordinance committee is March 28th at 5 p.m. Just an FYI. Health and safety, we have nothing on that. Personnel, next meeting will be February 2nd, 2022 at 5 p.m.
Yep.
Okay. Number 2, communications and new business. Is there any public comments on anything at all? Now would be the time to step forward and state your name and give me your public comments, or the council your public comments. And seeing no one in the audience, unless Seth wants to jump up. Council, is there any public comments from the council, I guess? Okay, then next item is 911 Pearl Street Site Plan, Cedar Court.
I want to break the record, Mayor, so quick.
Yeah, I know, you're windy. No, just kidding.
So in your packet, you should have a picture drawing. This is the proposed driveway to get to the food pantry. We did originally look at having it be a through road. That got very costly and was not part of the original grant application. So we're looking at right here, we worked with Pete at the food pantry to figure this out. Would basically be a way for trucks to no longer come through that tricky intersection by the gas station. They'll come down Pearl, pull up north, and then back down into the street. Pointing at it, sorry.
Okay.
Right? And then they can unload off to the side door here. There's only a couple of bigger trucks that come in once a month. Most of the trucks are small.
Okay.
They can actually pull right into the lot. If you notice, it's kind of hard to tell here, but there is, there'll be a loading area built into the building here so the trucks can load in, and then the food goes either to the kitchen side or the food pantry side. That's part of the interior design. So we just wanted to share that with you. We're getting cost estimates right now, but we just wanted to share that. The idea is this road would be closed off. There'd be a berm, would there be some signs so people know that they can't drive through anymore. And then some of the storm water will also be handled down here as it comes off the parking lot. Because right now it's pretty much where it's basically gravel, so the water's going through it. This will be a nice new parking lot, so we have to capture some of that storm water as part of that process. We've also made sure that the parking lot goes to the edge of the building, because at the very far edge here, there's actually a walkway that gets you into the building. That way anyone who's using it can then come in from there and access into the building now. Questions about that one? Okay. And then if you flip over real quick, to the site plan. Basically what you just wanted to point out is if you look see it in there?
It's on the back side of the map.
Which one you got? Yeah. So if you hold it this way, this is where the parking lot is. Driveway's on the right side of the sheet. You can see kind of the bigger, wider double doors. That's for coming in, opening, and receiving. Originally, we were gonna put the kitchen a little bit differently, but due to having the way the building is built with ventilation for the cook surfaces, we had to move it more towards the hotel side of the building, if you will, the water side. You'll notice there's an area that it really has nothing in it right now. That's gonna be an open space to be used in the future. Which is pretty neat. So this is going, these designs have been approved by the food pantry folks. They're actually to the state as of Friday. And once they're back, then we'll be bidding, we'll see where our costs come in. So we have a feeling they're gonna come in higher than we originally thought, thanks to COVID. The food pantry is gonna then have to take a look at what those costs are and figure out what to do. The goal is to design for a full kitchen. They'll have to fundraise for some of that equipment first.
So are they doing like a soup kitchen type deal or what?
This is full-blown cook kitchen, hot meals.
What is that? It would be, you could do Meals on Wheels and
Yeah.
that type of.
Meant to help with Meals on Wheels, and also a full commercial kitchen so that the pantry can now take large orders that they get from the feds or large deliveries, they'll now be able to break them up. Without a full prep kitchen, if
Oh, I
you
see
get,
what you mean.
if you get a bag of hamburger patties, they can't separate them. So a family walks in and gets a bag of 36 patties and they only need 12. So this will allow them to make that food go a little further.
Health, the health department will license it and so forth.
Right. Yep. Yep. And then eventually, 5 years, it can be a kitchen for seniors. Seniors, once we get past the restrictions of the grant.
How long does that go?
It's 5 years.
Okay.
I didn't know there were restrictions on the grant. I heard that through someone else recently.
I didn't think there was either, actually.
Yeah.
It was a COVID grant to respond to the COVID situation. And one of the requirements was, part of the story was that the senior center was basically shut down. And at the time the grant was issued, we weren't supposed to be meeting. And as typical grants, that's the rules at the time. That's what we applied under. So now you can't open it up for those types of services until the 5-year window of the grant is up.
Oh,
Then you can open it.
okay.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions?
That was it, no action, it was just a FYI.
Any other questions, public comments? Anybody see 9/11 girls? All right, if not, next item on the agenda is 2022 fee schedule. Review proposed changes. Again, I see a bunch in here and I can look through, but I don't know, Matt, you want to just
Sure, I'll
get the high points quick again?
I'll run through the list quick. So we're not actually asking for any formal action tonight. That would be later on with a resolution. So proposed changes to the fee schedule. We'd be removing the amplifier permit fee, and then we'd be wrapping this in with the event fee. It'd be part of the special event permit application we'd be putting together. We're moving the special event permit under other permits and fees. We'd be adjusting golf cart fee from $25 to $50 for the first year, and then $10 to $25 for subsequent years. We'd be adding a site plan review under development fees, adjust the site plan review, preliminary plat, and final plat to $300 flat fee plus the developer's deposit, which is something that we're working through at the Ordinance Committee, and then we'll be going through Planning Commission. We'd be adding an amendment/review to approved development, $50. We'd be removing all of the certified survey maps across all the categories, which will now be covered under other categories listed within the schedule. Remove that lower St. Croix items as they are redundant. They are already covered under the other planning fees that are covered. We'd be increasing Class A fermented malt beverages licenses from 125 to 150. We'd be removing parades and races. Those would now be covered under special event permit. And then combine carnivals and circuses for profits under one category, removing bicycle registration as that is no longer required. We had added the flat boat watch daily pass fee for $12. And then we're removing all the other boat watch passes as they're no longer used for residents and non-residents. And then removing the stormwater management permit, which is now would be covered by the proposed developer's deposit.
Very
So
nice.
The attached is,
It's nice and
shows all the
updated.
yellow, which would be added, then the red, which would be removed.
I like it.
All right, any questions? If you have any later on, once you look at it and think, oh, I got a question here or there, which I might, just let staff.
You'll probably hear from
Galen.
Galen.
I already gave him a heads up.
He can afford an extra $25.
15, he only has to pay
15, yeah.
15.
If he can't afford that, tell him he better get his golf cart. What's that, Thomas?
I had one question regarding the non-resident boat launch seasonal pass, and I would like to propose that we have it be double the resident seasonal pass. In other words, $75 or
How many
approximately.
more years?
Yeah. I
1
know.
minute, Jane's gonna respond. Go ahead, Jane.
Well, because we took money with the DNR and for some of the boat launch stuff, and if we get another DNR grant, you can only charge what the pass fee is to get into a state park. So that's where we're at with it.
You hear that,
I
Thomas?
paid more than
Okay,
that for
that's
my
good,
state
I
park.
understand.
And I agree with you, Thomas.
I do too, Tom.
Thought with the grants we
I
got, that
like where
probably
the thinking.
helps the discounting, so.
I paid it
Well,
late. I just bought mine.
we've got the watches, we've got the time, we
Yep.
can change it when the time is right.
Yep, once the grant expires or something, we maybe could, but
Yeah.
till then.
We got, believe it or
like
not, we got
40
caught
something.
having it higher, so they watch us.
They slapped our
This-
hands.
They
I
did
thought I
slap
paid
our
like
hands.
40 something for my state park pass this year.
Right. For a resident.
I thought so.
All right, so again, thanks, Thomas. Any other thoughts? Again, if you think of them later, don't be afraid to talk to staff. Other than that, that was just an FYI also. Does anyone have any other business to discuss?
We should remind everyone that Ward 1 is still,
yeah.
Yep.
nobody stepped forward for it, so anybody interested in, becoming a write-in candidate for Ward 1,
Just step
Gotta
in.
file your
Step
papers,
in.
stop and see Jane, she'll help you get the paperwork filled out.
How
Talked
long
to a
do they
couple
have
people who are
for
not-
the write-in?
25 for,
April 1st, I believe it is. I just
Oh, okay,
looked it
So
up.
that long. Okay.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they got some time.
Yeah.
like a week before, or
Yeah.
couple days before.
Yeah, it's
Um,
days before.
A couple of folks in my neighborhood asked me, what are status or plans for skate rink this year? Are there any? Do we know?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
We had a group in the past always take care of it, right?
Yeah.
We just haven't had a chance.
We have
They were-
budget for it. What's that for?
They were gonna do some grading where we were at, but the Public Works guys just didn't get the grading done, so it would be the same as in other years. That's a stormwater pond.
Yep.
Designed for water to run out of it.
Right.
And so that's kind of what happens. They put the water on until they can freeze it. Everything just kind of runs down the stormwater.
We're so
They were
cute.
gonna do some grading, but summer got away from them. So,
I'll ask to see where we're at with it and see.
See if they
Yeah.
can pile the snow up and just ice it. I know they
Yeah,
have
we got-
passed, it just
We
doesn't
Yeah.
We've got
count.
plenty of cold now.
yeah.
I noticed that a bunch of people shoveled off the pond by the school. Is
They're skating there, yeah.
that's all okay? That's school property, right?
Yeah, they've been skating there. People are skating down, I don't know if they're at the beach, but they're across at Washington County, but our beach
Yeah, see if
would
they
be,
can somehow, because I know we've done it in the past, it's just hard to keep the water there.
yeah.
And
If you get a couple coats, maybe it would stick a little bit.
The first year I lived here, I know that they did something at St. Croix Bluffs.
Yeah.
In a,
In boards.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was nice.
that worked out.
All right, any other business anyone wants to throw out there other than Ward 1, run for that?
Just a reminder, we do not have a February election. You're gonna see it, other parts of Pierce County does have a February election, but we do not,
Don't need
so.
a primary, huh?
We don't need a primary, correct.
All right. Thank
Motion to
you.
adjourn.
Second?
Motion made, second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Perfect.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everybody, again, for your participation.
Hey, first keep-